Shame, that dark cloud that wraps around us, keeping us from shining our brightest light out in the world. How do we release it and move forward so we can be the beings of light we're here to be? Our next guest is here to share her insights on moving through the shame, learning, and releasing it. Hi, and welcome to the You World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life health transformational coaches and spiritual entrepreneurs being the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to help coaches and entrepreneurs amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible, leveraging podcasts and our huge audience over on the Gnostic TV network. Today, we are chatting with Lauren Courtney. She is an author, coach, and podcast host of the Portals podcast. Lauren's mission is to guide you to the root of your struggles, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. She believes true transformation happens when every part of us is seen, heard, and supported. Welcome to the show, Lauren. It's really great to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
I'm looking forward to this conversation. We've had such a great chat beforehand.
We're ready to dive in.
Let me ask you the big question and we'll get started. What's the most significant thing, in your opinion, as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
For me, that answer is really easy. It's taking care of yourself first and foremost, because everything, it's right so within as without. And the way we treat ourselves, whether it be with words, with our food, how we care for ourselves, how we nurture ourselves, is really the way that we can then show up and nurture those around us. And of course, Mother Earth as well, and just the world in general.
I love that. So you haven't always had as your career spiritual guidance, healing, and being a creator of content and, dare I say, worlds, because as you shift people's perspective, you shift their worlds. So how did you get from being in the corporate world over into being in the spiritual world? What was that journey like for you?
So I detail the journey in full in my new book, Glow Up Your Chakras, from Medicated to Meditated. With that, to give you the shorter synopsis of it, I graduated college with a focus on event planning and marketing, went on to work with the #1 talent agency in the world, doing marketing and events there. And I had to have surgery. I was 24 years old. I needed to have the third in a series of jaw surgeries. And this one was reconstructive jaw surgery. And in my time out of the office, I realized I was unhappy. I realized that being out of work, I felt a lot better. Now, of course, understanding I'm an empath, I realized I was taking on the emotions of all of the people in the office. I was constantly being bombarded with energy. So during that leave of absence, I decided to leave that job and took a leap and got another career involved and thought, oh my God, you know what? I'm going to get a 9-to-5 job. And I think that will be better for me. Guess what? There is no such thing as a 9-to-5 job, maybe anywhere, but I think there are some, but at least not in New York City working in PR, because that's what I dove into. I dove into a PR job. And within a few months, I was finding myself in the same position. The only difference was during that time, I started having this inner knowing, this inner whisper that I was here to help people heal. And I had no idea what that meant, but I started to lean into that whisper. What does it mean? What is it trying to tell me? Which led me to starting to make my own lunches. I was sick of spending money, like $20 a day on salad in New York City. It was absolutely crazy. And I started making lunches. And eventually my coworkers started asking me where I got my salads, because they thought they looked so much better than the $20 salads they were buying. So I started making coworkers lunches. And to make a long story short, I was at a bat mitzvah one weekend, a friend's bat mitzvah, sister's bat mitzvah. I was dancing, having all of the cocktails, and someone stepped on my foot. And my foot broke. The fifth metatarsal bone broke, and I had to take a leave of absence from this job. And I realized, later on, this was my foot out the door. This was God saying, hello, wake up. This is not your path. So I ended up on that leave of absence, enrolling in school to be a holistic health coach, something I wasn't taking the leap on because I was afraid, how can I afford this? I can't do this on my own. I can't put money on credit cards. I was always told that wasn't okay to do. But I did it. I took the leap. And shortly after that, I received a call from the head of HR that my position was being absolved. And after my leave of absence was done, I would be able to collect unemployment. And instead of instead of falling apart, I decided to find myself. So as I said, was already in school to be a holistic health coach. I knew that these lunches were something that lit me up and excited me. And I ended up getting a part-time job nannying. And then shortly after my foot was healed, I connected with a friend and her boyfriend at the time who told me he had friends that opened a high-end recovery home in New York City working with clients recovering from food, drug, and alcohol addiction. And they were looking for a chef. So that was my first step into I am here to help people heal. It was through cooking and helping people in that way. That was part one of the journey.
Oh, I love that. It, yeah. And I love how God used your foot to like get you out the door.
Yes,
Those little synchronicities, they're not there for no reason. They're there for like, hey, pay attention. And even the
absolutely.
part about your jaw, I mean that has to do with what you take in and what you say. And the how that piece fit into your journey is it's really kind of beautiful. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, when I get to, writing the book, I got to look back on it all.
Mhm.
And I mentioned this in the book a few times, like we don't often know we're being guided until we're at the other side of the guidance. Then we can look back and say, "Oh, I understand why that needed to happen. I understand why I needed to go through this situation." And I had situations over and over and over again that I had to go through. And I've later learned in life that my human design, I'm a 3-5 for those familiar with human design, which is a martyr heretic. And I'm here to be a storyteller and I'm here to teach people through my experiences. So I'm very much a throw the spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks kind of person. But when you don't even know that and you're going through it, it just feels like, oh my God, like why isn't anything ever working? When in reality, it is all working and it's more beautiful than you will believe and understand until you get there.
It's like throwing everything out in the middle of the room. It looks like just this jumbled pile of mess of stuff that for me personally, I know how to do a lot of things. I'm 65 years old. I've had a lot of different careers in my life, and I can do a lot of things, but I don't feel like I need to at this point. I can just shine the light on other people, but I can relate to them because I've had experiences similar to what they've gone through. So it makes perfect sense for me at this point. But it took all of that time of feeling like, this isn't working. No, that's not working. No, this isn't working. This is fun, but it's not really lighting me up to get to that point where it's like, yes, I have arrived.
It's such a beautiful feeling when you get to that place. And
Mhm.
I know I've got more planned and more journeying to do in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And it feels so beautiful to be at a completion with this first chapter of my
Mhm.
life and understanding why I went through what I went through, and now moving into this unknown that's really available for me.
Yeah, and everything is available to everyone. That's like
Yeah.
such a beautiful part of the whole thing. So let's talk about the darker side of all of this that often leads us into these discoveries, and that's shame. So how
Mhm.
does shame fit into all of these pieces we've been talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've carried a lot of shame for a lot of different reasons in my past. And The biggest part of my awakening that I went through was 9 years ago. I was working as a chef, as I mentioned, and I thought, like, this is it. I figured it out. Like, my life is amazing. Like, I'm a chef in New York City. I never imagined this. I used to only make reservations, and now here I am making course dinners and dinner parties. And then 9 years ago, my best friend and my first love passed away. And the day he crossed over, he began communicating with me. And that sent me into a dark night of the soul and really deep inquisition. And then 2 years after he passed, my best friend from kindergarten, she crossed over. And they both passed when they were 35. And I remember when I got to my 35th birthday, I I I was like, why am I still here? Why aren't they? Even right now saying it, like I can feel the emotions. Like, why was I the one that was chosen to stay here? Why wasn't it them? Because I was prescribed pills for 10 years of my life. I was on painkillers, muscle relaxers, anti-inflammatories, Adderall, Ambien, Klonopin, and I detail it all in the book because of the surgeries, because of ADD and all these great things that doctors just wanted to give me pills for at such a young age. And I didn't always take my medication in the way that it was prescribed, whether it meant that I was snorting the pills or taking extra pills. I did all of it. So there was a lot of shame that I carried in why them and why not me. And I had to make peace with the fact that that was the journey that each of our souls chose in this lifetime. And that was very heavy to carry. And I'm 41 now. So to go through all of these birthdays that they never got to celebrate, like each year I kind of get to honor, like, wow, like this is like like every year is like a rebirth for me that I get to still be here and living the life that I live. And I'm so grateful for it. And within my own spiritual awakening journey, I got to look at different parts of myself, the parts of me who used to seek love in the wrong relationships because I didn't know how to properly love myself. I got to figure out why my nervous system was so dysregulated, which caused me to seek out things outside of myself, whether it be shopping, overeating, sex, drugs, drinking until I blacked out, whatever it was. I got to really sit with all of those choices that ultimately have made me who I am on the other side, with a really beautiful, profound story to tell that's deeply healing and moving. But I had to look at it all, and I had to make peace with all of it and forgive all of the parts of me that went down the paths that I went down.
Finding acceptance with that part of our lives really does open up a, a kind of freedom that until you make peace with the things that you feel ashamed about and can talk about it openly, even in areas where it's not socially acceptable, that's what it takes to heal. You need to be able to talk about the things that people say you're a bad person because you did that. Well, who the hell are they to pass judgment on you? They
Absolutely.
have something too.
Absolutely.
And
I
it
have
may
a
even be similar because usually we mirror back the things that we are feeling pain about.
totally, I had a girlfriend from college reach out to me. She's working with a temple now. And she said, "Oh my God, I'm so excited for your book. I would love to find out about, like, can you send us a few copies to the temple? Like, maybe we could do a book club here." And I said, I think it's best that you read the book first, because there are definitely some things inside of this book that are not what the temple would tell us is acceptable or okay. I have no shame around it anymore. I've released the shame, but I'm not sure how the temple would feel if perhaps I loved thy neighbor when it wasn't time to love thy neighbor. So it's interesting because I've released so much, and then also knowing that there will be people that are offended or are, turned off by some of the things I say. And I'm willing to hold that energy and frequency of people maybe not loving everything that I share, because I know there are so many people that actually need to hear what I'm sharing as well. And that was so much of my getting to transmute my own shame to know that it is for the highest good of myself and others.
And just being able to have a conversation about it without having judgment related to it is so important. And it's something that we are just now as a global community, because it's not just like one country or another. Women are coming out and speaking out and sharing things that were normally kept mainly because of the patriarchy behind closed doors. Things like menopause, which sounds like, it should be no big deal. Well, it's just like puberty. You go through puberty, you go through your childbearing years, and you go through menopause. Can we have some information about this, please? We prepare our young girls for, the change that they go through then. Why can't we prepare our middle-aged women for what's ahead of them in the future? The good and the bad, because
Absolutely.
there's a lot of good about menopause. Trust me on that one. I just like, this is the best part of my life. But when I was first going into it, I had no idea and nowhere to turn. So having these conversations, and I know that in your book, you're talking about some other sorts of things, but abortion is another thing. We don't like to talk about abortions, but many, many women have shame around abortions that they've had. And you can't do anything about it. It was a decision you made at the time.
Yeah.
Get over it, move on. And to hell with anybody that is going to pass judgment on you for a decision that you made personally. It's none of their business, honestly. And don't even get me started on men. You have to have weigh in on that subject. It's like, well, you have the baby and figure out how you're going to take care of it for the rest of your life when you're like 19 or 20 and or even 35. I don't care how old you are. They having children or more children impacts your life in a way that men will never understand. Even if you give them up for adoption, if you have an abortion, if you have whatever decision you make after getting pregnant, it's going to impact you the rest of your life. We don't need any help from the outside to deal with that. Thank you very much. Back to chakras.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we all carry what we carry, and I believe we learn the lessons in this lifetime and go through the experiences we go through in this lifetime so our soul can ascend further in this lifetime and for whatever may come after this lifetime as well. So I personally haven't dealt with that situation myself, but I do have friends and I've had clients, of course, as well, who have made choices, whether it was to have an abortion or to have a child or not to have children. And everyone has choice and free will. And if we truly tune into ourselves, right? And use our intuition and trust ourselves, we know the right thing to do for ourselves. And often it's outside noise that disrupts what we know to be our inner truth. And so much of Glow Up Your Chakras, right, is about connecting to your intuition.
And how do you talk to people about connecting with their intuition? So it's one of your senses. Everybody has intuition, but different people choose to emphasize it or not emphasize it, I guess is a way to put it. It's kind of like hearing. We all hear, some people really hear. We all see, some people really see. We all taste. All taste is different. Everything we see is different depending on who you are and your perspective, and everything we hear is different.
Well, and even just those three examples you're giving are three of our clars.
Mhm.
Clar audience is that ability to hear. Clairvoyant is that vision. Clairpungent is that taste. So, I remember when my awakening began, I was very much clairsentient. My ability to feel was so strong. I would constantly like have little angel bumps on my arms. I knew spirit was around me, and clairaudience was very strong for me. My ability to hear. And when I say ability to hear, it's not just like, oh, I hear spirit talking to me like from an esoteric space, but I mean the songs on the radio, the conversations I would overhear, because when we allow ourselves to tune into ourselves, we can strengthen each of those things. It's almost like we're a radio, right? And we're turning the dial to get to the right station, which essentially, right, is the station of our highest self. But sometimes there's a little static that we need to get through until we can totally hit that dial on the place that it wants to be. So through the book, I teach about the chakras, and each chakra is really connected also to different parts of our intuition, different parts of our clairvoyant gifts. And I give tools, whether it be journal prompts or essential oils or crystals to work with, or an activation that you could repeat, or mantras to work with, and down to foods that you can eat to strengthen those chakras and further connect with yourself. Because right, if I knew that I was feeling ungrounded, which would look like I'm in my head spinning, I can't relax, I just keep doing things, and I find myself not sitting down, to me that's a sign that I'm not grounded, that I need to connect with my root chakra. So it would be an opportunity to say, hey, maybe I should eat some roasted beets right now. Maybe I should go grab some carrots. Maybe I need to eat something that's from the earth, right? So one of the, like a heavy root vegetable or something red. If I was like, you know what, I really know that I have a meeting today and I want to strengthen my throat chakra and I really want to be able to speak my truth, I'm going to pour myself a peppermint tea with some honey. Maybe I'll eat a handful of blueberries, which is not only going to connect me with the throat, but also my intuition and my third eye. So I teach people different tools along those routes for how to connect deeper with your intuition, because it's not just about sitting in meditation and praying and hoping for the best. That works too, to connect with your crown chakra. And there are all these other tools available to us.
It really is a matter of everything is energy, and using the energies around you properly. When you're talking about the radio dial, it's not like just one dial, it's a whole bunch of dials that we need to fiddle with to get like
Mm-hmm.
the perfect resonance that we're looking
Absolutely.
for. And it comes as food, it comes as what we breathe, what we're drinking for water. How good is our water? Do we bless our water? Do we talk to our water? Do we talk to our food? Do we grow our own food? When we grow our own food, that food, the molecules, actually organize themselves in a way that nourishes whoever the grower is.
So beautiful.
It
I can't,
is.
one day I can't wait to have a house with a backyard and my own my own garden to grow. For now I'm in a building, but one day soon we'll be out planting in the backyard.
You can grow in pots in your house with grow lights.
That
I,
is true.
I do this all the time. I live in Idaho. We don't have sun in the winter time, but I have grow lights in my house and I have lemon trees. In fact, this is a lemon tree.
Oh
It
wow.
sits
I love
right
that.
next to my desk. I have
That's
several of
so
them. I have a
beautiful.
big hibiscus bush in my bedroom. They go outside in the summer because they love the warmth, but I bring them in the winter, and they're big plants. They're not like little plants, but you can grow stuff inside. I grow microgreens inside and sunflower sprouts and pea sprouts.
Yeah, I've
You,
done sprouts and little things, but I want a big bountiful garden one day, I hold that vision.
Just takes a couple zucchini seeds in a big pot. You got it. Tons of zucchini. Trust me, they grow like crazy. And
Yes, they
lettuce you can
do.
grow in small containers. Just you have several of them and plant them at, at intervals so they're not all growing at the same time.
Absolutely.
I live in an area where we can glean potatoes, so it's okay.
Well, that sounds like a good project for me. Perhaps this weekend, get a little pot and start planting something.
Yeah, just one plant. You'll get addicted. It'll soon be two or three or five or 10.
Yeah, I have my like tree, like I have my money trees and my snake bush and all of those things that I nurture here. It's I travel a good amount, so getting someone to come in and water them can be a little bit of a journey, but I'll find a friendly farmer neighbor in the building.
There's YouTube and there's ways that you can set stuff up to water while you're gone with a string and a bottle.
Okay, I'll
Um,
have to check that out.
yeah, just look on YouTube. There's
There's
ways.
something for everything, for sure.
I don't know what we did before YouTube. I was like, go to the library, hope you could find what you're looking for.
Exactly, exactly.
So I know you provide coaching as well as having written this book that it will be out by the time this episode airs. So, and people can find that book on your website because there's a link to purchase it there.
hmm
How do you work with people and how do you support your clients through their
Yeah.
spiritual awakenings and things like
So I
that?
work with clients both one-on-one, and I also have a community called the Glow Up Portal Community, where that specifically we meet twice a month on Monday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in that group, I offer energy healing. So whether it be through Holy Fire Reiki, sound healing, some Kundalini breath work, some other work that I do with body of light transmutations, we kind of do that in a group collective setting based on whether it be where the moon is or what I just channeled that morning and know that the collective needs. So that is one way clients can work with me. The other way is one-on-one, whether it be a single session where we meet, you let me know what's going on, we open ourselves up to spirit, God, etc., whatever you like to call it, and receive channeled healing, channeled messages, and guidance for whatever it may be that you're experiencing. And then I have clients who also work with me on an ongoing basis and more of a mentorship, which often looks like 8 weeks. And in those 8 weeks, we start at the root chakra, working our way up each week, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, into the crown. And then we have our final meeting to see where you're at and if we want to continue or not. And typically in those 8 weeks, we figure out the root of what is going on that brought you to me in the first place. Because sometimes people don't even know why they've booked a session. They're just like, I was referred to you, or I found you, and I felt this pull that I need to work with you, and I don't know why. So it really depends. Everyone comes with different needs, wants, desires, and sometimes they're totally unknown until we're actually starting to work together. So whether it's inherited emotions, whether it's past life stuff, whether it's things that have gone on in this lifetime that you're wondering, why does this keep happening? You're feeling lost in your career or unhappy or unfulfilled in relationships. We get to the root of that issue or whatever it may be.
That's so beautiful. And people can find you on your website too.
Yes, you could find me. My website is laurencourtneyheals.com. And in addition to the live coaching opportunities, I also have quite a few online courses: glow up your chakras, glow up your aura, glow up your organs, release your money blocks, and many other ones as well that can be done at your own pace. And they're rooted in sound healing and journal prompts to allow you to really get into your subconscious mind, and then using the sound healings after, start to clear yourself and get out of your own way.
And that's so important, getting out of your own way. It's like we start out when the awakening happens where it's just like, oh, I've been asleep for so long. And then other things start happening and you're like, well, I didn't expect that. And this kind of sucks because the spiritually awakening is not all roses and
No, it's not all rainbows and
sunshine.
unicorns.
Yeah, there you go. So not all rainbows and unicorns. It can be painful, and it can be confusing, and it can be um uh, like uh, suddenly you don't fit in with anybody or anything that you were doing up until that point, and it's like, where do I turn? And so I would suggest that listeners turn to you and get your book, read your book, and maybe book a consultation with you so that you can see where they are, help them get a little bit more clarity on what they're going through. Would you say that's a good place for them to start?
I would say it's a great place for them to start. Absolutely. Absolutely. My email is always available. You can always email me, Lauren at laurencourtneyheals.com. Share your experiences from the book, any questions you have of ways that you can work with me. I am happy to answer any of those.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lauren. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you for having me.
To learn more about Lauren and to get her latest book, Glow Up Your Chakras, please visit laurencourtneyheals.com. We'll be sure and put those links in the notes below. Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you have a podcast or you're interested in starting one to get your message in front of our huge and active audience, be sure to reach out to us at jill@gnostictv.com. We love to help spiritual entrepreneurs and coaches amplify their voice and monetize their mission, and offer a variety of ways to do this on the Gnostic TV Network platform. Join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today and get visible.